Hey, good morning. Yes, it is. It's Friday, January 17th, 2024. So, what are we going to talk about today? Well, I've started three different videos and I haven't had much luck at it. I mean, sometimes you just have setbacks, right? Or it's not the right time for that video, I guess. And it's kind of the same that I already have up there. So, I thought today's video would be on some of the things you could expect after open heart surgery and the challenges and how to overcome them. So, on that note, stay tuned. Hey, welcome back to the channel. My name is Eric, and yes, this is the weekday, Monday through Friday. Today is Friday. Normally, I don't do personal stuff, but I think on weekdays usually has business sense, right? But I thought maybe other people might want to hear this or need to hear this or are facing similar challenges like an upcoming surgery on their heart. So, one of the issues that I have is thought and trying to get things together, and it's kind of gotten worse. They're talking about getting better, but it's kind of gotten worse. But when I first, it was a whirlwind for me, all right? In that I didn't think I had a heart problem. I really didn't. I thought I was suffering from pneumonia and I had a pulled muscle in my rib cage. That's it. Did I have any of the warning signs? Yes, looking back on it, I did. I had a lot of chest pain, especially over that summer. My stamina, it's this can happen. All right? This can happen with any surgery. It's trying to concentrate and trying to hold a thought before it gets away from you. Is over the year before the surgery and stuff, I did have a lot of the warning signs in that, the chest pains, the loss of energy, you name it. There were a lot of signs there, but I didn't pay any attention to them because I had an EMT background, and I kind of ruled out cardiac with them. It didn't help that I was smoking over 3 packs of cigarettes a day. And in the evening, drinking 6 to 7 beers. Now, neither one are bad unless they're excessive, right? And I wasn't living what you would call a healthy lifestyle. I like red meat with a lot of fat on it. I like pork with a lot of fat on it. Sausage, bologna, all the good foods that have good taste, right? But the combination of all of them, of eating healthy, exercise, not smoking, if you're smoking, half a pack a day, it's when you start getting excessive that it plays an important role, right? It's like anything. If you're excessive with food, it's going to have that issue. But leading right up to the day that I went in to that ER because I had asked my primary because we had tackled the muscle thing. I was taking codeine for that. We had covered the pneumonia. I was taking antibiotics for that. And I still wasn't seeing any let up of the chest pains. So I finally mentioned to her, I said, could you schedule an EKG? Let's just go back for the hell of it and see what that does. So she called me right back and said, they're waiting for you in the hospital to have your EKG done. It's okay. So they did an EKG and they drew some blood. I hadn't been home 10 minutes, back to the shop, 10 minutes, when the phone rang and it was my primary saying, you need to get back to the hospital right now. Now, I should have picked something up because she was in an excited voice. You need to pay attention to me right now. You need to get back to that hospital. Do you have someone that can drive you? So I said, yeah, Claude's here. So Claude drove me back to the hospital. And they were waiting for me. And they started hooking up EKG leads, IV leads, you name it. And the doctor come in and said, you know what's going on? And I said, honestly, no. And he said, well, we're getting you ready to send you to Syracuse, to Upstate Medical. I'm like, why would I need to go to Upstate Medical? And he says, sir, do you know that you had a lot of heart attacks? Nope. He said, no chest pains, no nothing in the past? So yeah, but he said, those are heart attacks. Every time you had the sharp pains and you had to stop and control your breathing and all that stuff you're telling me, those were heart attacks. He said, right now, there's a cardiac team waiting for you in Syracuse. Now, for most of you, if you're watching this and you're worried about going in for surgery for a cardiac issue, don't. As long as you're at one of the bigger hospitals that do this on a regular basis, don't. Can things go backwards, haywire? They can with anything. But I'm going to show you two things that could happen by prolonging it and getting it done quicker. In that, when I got to the hospital, they started prepping me for surgery. And I say within a couple hours. Because when we got there, there was somebody that had a problem with their open heart and they had to go back in and do some repair work. And so that was what was the holdup for us of getting the ER, because they had to sanitize the ER before I could come in. But they got me right in as soon as they could and under the knife. Now, 90+% of open heart surgeries are not going to have any complications. They're going to be fairly routine in and out, okay? Mine was complicated. Mine lasted 8.5 hours. I had a quadruple bypass. And then I also had a warfarin bleed that caused me not to get oxygen to the brain for around 7 minutes. Okay? And they were debating whether to even go on. Again, mine was complicated. My daughter told him, keep going. As much as I love my son, I'm sure he would have said, pull the plug. Because he would have assumed I was a vegetable and knew I wouldn't want to live that way. But my daughter's gut, she's great in a crisis, but then she falls over. That's why she's my healthcare proxy. So after the surgery, and I'm taking it from the surgeons, my family, because I don't remember any of it, honestly. And if you're going to ask me, did I have a out-of-body experience? I don't remember any of it. I really don't. But when they got done with the surgery and everything, they brought me into the ICU. And they kept me in an induced coma for the first 2 days. Again, I was complicated. Most people that have open heart surgery are not in an induced coma after the surgery, okay? So when they finally took the life support away from me and the tube out of my throat, they started asking me questions, and I was answering with gibberish, okay? But I was still able to get some words out. For the first few days, it was really hard because the pain in the chest, and putting a pillow on your chest and cupping it and coughing, because you need to cough, but you don't want to cough, okay? And I was about a week before they started taking some of the stuff away, And I can tell you, during that week, there were people that had come in and had open heart surgery and were going home. Yes. Your average open heart surgery for that hospital is 7-8 days, and you're already headed for home. I was complicated, right? But if you're looking at open heart surgery and you're really scared, it's okay. We all get scared. That's just part of our makeup, right? Anything of the unknown, we fear. I'm telling you, don't. If you're having heart problems, you're farther ahead just to address it and get it done than you are to take a chance on having your heart fail. Okay? Now, when I first came in, I had a blockage of 99%. And I had a heart function of 9. Heart, where it pushes the blood. That's what. But for my terms, it's the heart function of 9. After the surgery, they got it up to 20. See, they can fix and take veins out of your legs, which they did, and fix the arteries coming to the heart. But if the heart is too damaged, it may not work. So the earlier the better you address it, the better it is. But that's what your heart function is. My heart has been through hell and back. I haven't been good to my heart. So they got it up to 20. And by the time I left, it was 30. But like I say, for your average open heart surgery, people were gone 6 to 8 days. But I was going into week 3. And I still had 4 chest tubes draining fluid off my lungs, and my feet were still swelling up. And the normal term for that is congestive heart failure. It's your heart hasn't got enough to pump the fluids out of your body. So it's going to retain it. Now, is there a chance that there could be complications? There's that chance with anything in life, but surgery's no different. But if you're asking me if I'd have it done again, the answer would be yes, because I'm still here. I let it get too far. I really did. Whereas, if you're not smoking a lot, and you're not doing things, your diets and stuff like that for your heart, and you have a heart history, it might be time to change her up a little bit, right? But again, mine was complicated. They couldn't believe that I walked into the hospital in Governor. But there I was, still standing, still trying to figure out what's all the fuss about. Now, would I change anything with having memory issues? No. And we don't know if this memory issue has got to do with the 7 minutes of no oxygen to the brain during surgery, or to a condition called POCD that can happen if you're under anesthesia for a long period of time. And long period is over 5 hours. And I was 8.5 hours. So it could be one or both happening. Is it hard to try to keep a thought? Is it hard to do the simple things? Yes. But it's not hard to rekindle those relationships with family. And you realize that those things that you thought were worth fighting about really weren't really nothing at all. Right? So then comes another thing that ended up changing. And that was, I haven't had a cigarette since the day I walked into the hospital after my primary told me to go back. I haven't had a beer since then. I don't have the urge to smoke. And I tried drinking the beer and it doesn't taste good. But here's the cincher, whatever you want to call it, is that now I had a new set of smell and taste, right? Because now I can smell things and I can taste things. Where if you're a smoker, tendency is it changes those smells, right? And those tastes. So where it kind of got me again, I'm complicated, was not eating. Because I couldn't find much that smelled or tasted good to me. Like chicken, steak, pork chops. None of them smelled or tasted good. I could make a grilled cheese sandwich and eat like a half of one. And it's still that way even today. And how far out are we? 3 months? That I've yet to find that where it tastes good. So now it complicates the fact that I'm not eating right because none of it tastes good. And I'll tell you, when you're in the system, one of the things that I've found is, like with your medications, especially your heart meds, when they discharged me, they had all my heart meds from the big hospital, okay? And it came to $78 after my copay. My deductible had already been met, but my copay totals came up to $78 for the heart meds. Doable, right? And that was that way for the first couple months. Well, then they transferred it to the local pharmacy, and one of them alone was $700. I said, there's no way I can afford to take that. But the thing is there's programs out there, but a lot of your drugstores will not look for you. The hospital did. But we got back with the outpatient pharmacy at the big hospital, and they were the same way. It was $700, even though that hospital was sending all my meds for $78. But they discontinued that. But I mean, I even went to the one that was really expensive, and I went to the website and qualified for 1 month free. Well, 1 month free sounds pretty good, right? But you still got to keep paying after that. So that's one of the things that you're going to encounter, is sometimes the stuff is really expensive. And that's because there wasn't a generic for it, okay? And what I found up here is I'm fighting every step of the way to try to get what I need. I went as far as asking for a simple task of, could I have a visiting nurse come once a week for no more than an hour just to fill my Mediset for the week? And a Mediset is basically your morning pills and your night pills. And no agency would do that. And you say, why don't you just fill your own Mediset? Because the simple tasks, I become very frustrated. I start screwing things up. And the last thing you want to screw up is your medications. I had too much one night and none the next night. I had none at all for some of it. And that scared the bejesus out of my family once my sister-in-law caught on to me having problems. Because I was telling her that I was having problems trying to do simple tasks and remember things. But my daughter last Saturday filled it for me. This Saturday, I have a neighbor that's willing to do it for me. I am sure I am going to get back to where I can do it myself, to where it will become simple again. But for the time being, I can't afford to screw those meds up. That's the other thing, is there were meds missing. And I was taking two of the same medications with different names that they had on the sheet for me to take. My primary caught that, not my cardiologist group, none of them. My primary. There are programs out there to get the meds you need, but they make it so you have to jump through so many hoops that a lot of times it's not worthwhile. So I was talking with a cardiac group yesterday, and they're like, on that expensive medication, did you want us to look for something that does it similar but a lot cheaper? Well, you should have done that in the first place. But they assume everybody up here is on Medicaid, which is state funded, which means you only pay $1 per script. Doesn't matter what it is. I'm not. Not. So if you run into that and you're looking at all those hoops, ask them to find an alternative drug that works and does the same thing has been around for ages that has a generic. These doctors get these pharmaceuticals to try to push their medications, all right? And that's where they're going to make their money, is off the big sellers, right? They can find a medication that is in that generic class that will do as good, if not better, than the expensive one. Push them to do it. Refuse to take the other medication, or to pay that kind of highway robbery. A lot of people end up paying for it, but I wonder how many people, especially the older folks, that have to choose between their meds or their meals. I have one guy that lives just up the road from the shop, and he is 85, 84, 85, and he gets $675 a month, Social Security. That's all he lives on. If he had that one medication at $700, he couldn't afford to live. So I'm going to start wrapping this up. I just thought I'd throw something together to show you what's going on. And I know it will get better, and I remain hopeful. Because what is it? The only way is up. On that note, you guys have a great Friday, and we'll see you here bright and early. I'm not sure about the weekend, but definitely Monday. All right, you guys have a great day.